Maxie?
Hey.
Go away! What the hell? What are you doing? So, Atom Man vs. Superman is the sequel serial to the original serial from 1948, this one coming out in 1950, and the same cast from that original serial returns. You have Kirk Alyn as Superman, Noel Neill as Lois Lane, which I love, and a bunch of actors that I can't remember the names of. It's just those two that I remember because they're the two best parts of these two serials as far as I'm concerned. And I'm glad to see that them and the rest of the same cast or main cast are back for this one, because I just love the chemistry between them and the between the characters and the actors. Like with moments when Perry storms out of his office because everyone's having a gay old time and he says to you can't have none of that, get back to work. But as soon as he walks back into his office, Clark and Jimmy just start hoeing into that birthday cake. It's moments like this that make me, I guess, fall in love with the characters. You got to give it credit for that. It makes you invested into the characters with moments like this. So Luthor is in this serial for the first time in live action on screens. And in this serial, he's portrayed, or in this first incarnation of the character, he's not known as Lex Luthor, he's just known as Luthor, the mad scientist, which is a very different take on the character than what I'm used to. And I was just thinking how great it would be if for the first time that Luthor was portrayed on big screens, how great it would be if the writers took him down the path of being that billionaire businessman that we all know that manages to avoid the law and Superman himself. Just as I was thinking that, they did it. The character got let out of prison on parole so that he could design some new device for the government, which made him very rich. I was so convinced that they were going to stick with the mad scientist path that when they went down that other path of making him a businessman and a billionaire and essentially being untouchable, I was surprised. And little did they know how popular that would actually make the character of Lex Luthor and actually make him one of Superman's arch enemy. That's what makes him so good, is that he's virtually untouchable. You can't touch him in the conventional, that sounds weird. Superman, the Man of Steel, who can do pretty much anything, cannot take Lex Luthor down simply because he can avoid the law. That is what makes Lex Luthor Superman's arch enemy, and that's what makes him an interesting villain. And I'll give them credit for doing that. That made the villain for this serial a little bit more interesting than some of the other villains in the other serials that I've reviewed. So I noticed really early on that this serial tends to reuse shots from the first one that I've already reviewed. And I guess some of it is warranted, like the shot where Superman runs through that rock wall. Yeah, remember that shot? They reused that. I guess they could have refilmed it and done it differently, but they reused it maybe because they were just out of footage. But sometimes they reuse footage for a cutaway when you don't even need a cutaway to begin with. Like that very quick cutaway to Perry White, which is a reuse shot from the first one, and he looks significantly younger in that shot to how he actually looks in this serial. Even though they reuse a lot of shots though from the previous serial, they do add some shots too. In this serial, we got a lot. In fact, I don't even think we got any shots of Kirk Alyn actually flying in the first one. In this one, they add that in with the hand-drawn animation, and it makes it feel more fluid than ever. You actually get shots, you actually get intake shots of the hand-drawn animated version of Superman flying off, and then it cuts to a live-action shot of Kirk Alyn flying. So I thought that just helped it feel more fluid than ever before. But again, the editing is not good. The editing is probably a massive problem of these serials for back then, especially in this one where there were a couple tense scenes that occurred that I was actually really getting into. Like, for example, there's this one tense scene where Luthor is unhappy with one of his goons, and he is about to do something to the guy, and then it immediately cuts to Lois Lane's birthday party. For the life of me, I could not understand why they would put that cutaway in the middle of such a tense scene. Anyway, moving on to the Atom Man, the title villain of this serial. I'll give you one guess as to who the Atom Man actually is. Pretty obvious, and it's actually weird. With the true identity of the Atom Man, it's not like they were trying to hide it, but whenever the Atom Man would take off this ginormous fucking helmet, I mean, who on God's green earth would fucking wear that thing? I mean, it's ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. Anyway, whenever the guy, whoever he is, whoever the Adam Man is, whenever he's about to take off that ginormous helmet, it cuts away so we don't see who it is. But if you watch the serial, there are clear hints. I mean, they blatantly tell you who the Adam Man is. Why would you... Why? Yet again, another example of weird editing. Look, I'll be honest. I have loved some of these serials, 2 in particular. But Adam Man versus Superman, I gotta be honest, doesn't live up to what the first one did. The first one I thought was significantly better than pretty much all the other serials that I've reviewed. If I were to rank them, it would be Superman from 1948 and Adventures of Captain Marvel from 1941. They're the only 2 that I really like. The rest, even this one, just don't live up to what the better ones have achieved. Again, if you want to watch Adam Man vs. Superman, you can't watch it online. You have to buy the DVD from somewhere, you know, Amazon, eBay, I don't know. But it's out there. So, yeah, I mean, okay, I'll say this. Adam Man vs. Superman is not as bad as some of the really bad serials that I've reviewed. But it just is not one of the better ones. It's one of more of the mediocre ones, the more standard ones. So, if you're fine with that, go and give it a watch. So, anyway, that's my review for Atom Man vs. Superman. Yeah, I guess I'll see you in my next Superman review.